Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Julie and I am a homeschooling mom of 5. And in today's video, first I wanted to do a little update, kind of let you know how we're doing through this whole quarantine, self-isolation, safe at home, whatever you want to call it, this global pandemic. I wanted to give a little update today, just a little chat on how we're doing. I share a lot of day in the lives here on my channel, but I haven't done really a sit down just devoted to this topic. So I'm going to talk about that for a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and answer some of your questions. Last week I answered quite a lot of your Q&A questions, but there were a few I didn't get to, so I'm just going to kind of tag that on to the end of this video. I've got my coffee. It's like, what, 2:15 I think, and I'm finally having my second coffee of the day. Got my phone with my questions. So let's go ahead and start. How are we doing? Overall, I would say we're doing really well. There are definitely ups and downs. There are days, for the most part, our days go really smoothly, but there are definitely times where our moods kind of plummet. The kids get a bit moody and just feeling off because they're missing going out. I say they're missing their friends and they're missing their family, like extended family. Really, they're missing social. They're missing their social life entirely. So they really miss just going out places, going to the store, going to church, going to friends' houses, going to our homeschool group. There are a lot of things that we're missing through this time. And of course, there's just a lot of unknowns in general. What's gonna happen next? How far is this gonna go? Are we gonna get sick? And there are so many questions. For the most part, I try to not worry about things that I cannot control. So what the government decides about how our country's gonna run, what the rules are for like lockdown, or how many people can be in a store, and who's gonna get sick, and what's gonna happen if we get sick. And there's so much that can weigh really heavy and can really get you down. I try not to worry about things that are completely out of my control. I don't want this to come across wrong, but I have a lot of positive feelings for this situation we're in right now. And I meant to say at the beginning, every story is different, every situation is different, and lives are being turned upside down, even if people aren't sick. Losing jobs, and all of a sudden being stay-at-home parents, and all of a sudden homeschooling and all that. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I homeschool. My husband still has his job. So I know that this is much more smooth sailing, a little bit of a smaller adjustment for my family than it is for many. But sports being canceled, not doing nearly as much driving to sports and to stores and to friends' houses and to co-ops and to everything that we were doing before this. It's kind of nice sometimes how laid back and relaxed our life has become, and that has been a bit of a blessing in our lives too. I think I've been a better mom since this has all started, because the most fights I have with my kids is trying to get out the door. Honestly, like getting 5 kids out the door. Come on, get your shoes on, get out the door. What's taking you so long? Why didn't you go to the bathroom before we went out the door? Sometimes that is the most chaotic part of my life, that when we're all just staying home, I find our home is just a little bit more peaceful. So obviously this whole situation is negative, and it's scary, but there are some positives that we are enjoying through this time as well. And just spending that time together and not having to have all these different ways we're being pulled, different appointments and get-togethers and so on. This time just to be relaxed at home has been nice as well. I check the news once a day on my phone. I know that if you are looking into the news a lot, I think it can be too much, and you're so focused on that at 10:30 a.m. every day, our Prime Minister, our Premier kind of give an update on what's going on. I always check like the number of cases, like how many new cases has Ontario gotten in the last 24 hours. So I check that every day. I check it right around lunchtime. I'm probably on my phone for a good 20 minutes. Probably it's only that long that I'm checking just kind of some local news and then checking how this is affecting the world as well. And then I'm done. I may scroll through Facebook and see a couple of articles shared, but I don't really look at news other than that one time a day. And I think that that is good for my mental health. So like I said, our routine as a family has been our day-to-day routine has been fairly similar. We get up, we do school, like it's everything that we're used to. It's not the big drastic change. Now Andrew is still working. He is working less hours than he was before, so he is home more, which has been kind of nice. We have gotten so much done. As I'm filming this, he is in the garage building us a picnic table for our backyard, and he's gotten the backyard all ready for a garden. We have been cleaning up our backyard. We moved to this house last summer, and you guys have seen some of the house projects we've done. The backyard is no different. Like the backyard is a mess, like a mess. We have about half an acre, and the back half of the yard was a tennis court. So there was a cement pad poured. The cement pad heaved, like this was years ago, but all the cement is still back there, all over the back of the yard, as well as a whole bunch of other junk and like things they built. And anyway, it's a bit of a mess, but it's been nice to have this hobby, I guess, this little outlet to do. Through this time that we're home, we're getting so much done in the yard. So that's been really nice. Obviously, the weather. I am really thankful for what time of year this is happening. Now, as I'm filming this, it's snowing outside. Yes, it's the middle of April, but it's snowing outside because we're in Ontario, and that's what the spring looks like here. But we have had some nice warm days. The sun is still up every day till, I don't even know, 8:30 maybe it starts to go down. No, it can't be that late. Maybe it's 8 o'clock. I don't know. But it's not the middle of winter where the sun goes down at 4. I think that would be depressing if we were stuck inside all the time. We have the ability to go outside. I'm thankful that it's not the middle of summer. I hope this doesn't go to the middle of summer, but I think if it does, my mood might go down a bit. But if we're always at home, we can't go to the beach, we can't go to the parks, etc. I think that this currently is an all right time of year for us to be always at home. One thing I have needed in my life in this time has been something to look forward to. So that's one thing that we're missing. I opened my calendar and like every single event is crossed out. There's nothing going on, and that can really get me down because I look and it's just, there's nothing coming up. This is like a never-ending crisis right now. So I've definitely been scheduling FaceTime calls with family, with friends, my kids FaceTime with their friends. I have a weekly Zoom meeting with all of my sisters on Sunday nights, and we love that. And just knowing that that's coming up, oh, in a couple of days it's Sunday again, and we get to sit down and chat for a couple of hours. Having something to look forward to really energizes me, really just gives me that extra boost that I need. We've also gone out. Now, some people would probably not even do this, but there have been a few times I've gone out and just like gone and picked up pizza for our family, and gone and picked up coffee for Andrew and I, or some muffins for the kids just through the drive-thru. And even just doing that is enough of it's something to look forward to, and I feel like I really crave that something, just something to look forward to. One thing about this time of life for me with my 5 young kids ranging in age from 9 down to 1 is that this time in my life, especially with my 2 youngest who are 1 and 4, this is a very physically demanding time in my life. And for all of the posts and videos and quotes I see people saying about like, yeah, this is the time just to sit down and read, like sit down and read for a couple of hours, catch up on some sleep and just chill. And in my life, I can't do that. My toddler is busy, always needing something. I can't just sit and read for an hour and a half whenever I want to. So it's a very busy time, and I think that's kind of helpful still. I'm not bored. Like, I am not bored. There's no way. I cannot be bored. Our days can sometimes get a bit monotonous, but there's nothing boring about it. Like, by the end of the day, I still feel like that day went by so fast. I didn't get this done and I didn't get that done. My days are so busy, and I think that my brain and my body being occupied all the time definitely keeps me from being down as well. Okay, so that's just a little update there on how we're doing. I do want to get into these questions. There are just a few questions, so I'll try to get through them really quickly here. The first one is, do you ever feel behind on all the housework, and how do you manage it all? Absolutely, I do. Anytime I put extra effort into one thing, something else is not happening. So if I want to do a day of deep cleaning, we won't do school that day, so that's not happening. Or if I'm doing a day of deep cleaning, maybe we're gonna have macaroni and cheese for lunch, boxed macaroni and cheese, and I'm not cooking from scratch. There's always something that's gotta give. Also, I do my best to get everything done, to make sure everything gets done, but I'm not doing it all. So I definitely give my kids jobs to do. If they are at an age where they can help, make them help. And so that definitely helps a lot, but absolutely, I do not get everything done. Also, I'd love to know some things you make from, or that you could make from scratch that you buy instead. Bread. I could make our own bread. I often just buy it. I do occasionally make bread, but it's not our sole bread supply. I buy a lot of bread. For one, I find slicing it is time consuming. If I get the kids to do it, they're slicing too fat or too skinny, and then some are burning in the toaster, and then if they are left out too long, they're too dry, and then my kids don't really like them if they're dry. So if I make fresh bread, we basically have to toast it or do grilled cheese if it's more than a day old. If it's more than a day old, nobody wants to eat it with peanut butter and jam sandwiches because they're too crumbly, and I don't know. We do it sometimes still, and I do like homemade bread, but at this season of my life, I just feel like buying bread is easier. I would love to know how you plan for your homeschool year and schedule out material. I think I'll have to do a video all on that topic. I do like to make sure we have a math curriculum, we have a writing curriculum, and everything above that, it's just kind of picking and choosing here and there. Okay, what should we do for history this year? What should we do for geography? And those subjects are not important in the early grades, but I like to do a little something still where they're learning a little bit in those areas. I think I got this question last time I did a Q&A, I don't know, 6 months ago, but my favorite way to spend one-on-one time with each kid. Anything. I know that doesn't really answer your question, but I let them choose. So if I'm spending some quality one-on-one time with each of my kids, which doesn't happen as often as I would like it to, but I will ask them, what would you like to do? Because I think that's the best way I can spend my time with them, is by investing my time, investing my interest into something that they're interested in. I don't want to be saying, okay, one-on-one time, come help me with baking, help me with something else. I want to be interested in what they are interested in, because I think that is when kids really feel like their parents care about them, is when they care for what they care for. How much time do you spend on each school subject? That's a good question. Every subject is different and every day is different. We do have like a loose routine we like to keep, but I am not like, okay, we need to spend this much time on this subject and this much time on this subject. We do required reading for half an hour in the afternoon for my 9, 8, and 6-year-old, and that is really the only thing I would say that is timed. I like them to each do a math lesson with their teaching textbooks a day. I like them to do 2 or 3 pages in their writing books, depending which writing books they're using. And then I read to them for as long as I can. Like we do history, which I read aloud. We do science, which I read aloud. And then again, I do like a read aloud fictional book that we're reading together. And it depends what time we start, depends where the chapters end and so on. But I really am not super strict on timing for each subject. She also asked, do you ever work with the kids one-on-one? They definitely need it sometimes. We love teaching textbooks so that my oldest 2 can do their work on their own. They don't need my help often. Sometimes they do, but not often. So at that same time as they're doing their math, I can do math with my 1st grader, and that works well. Writing, I don't mind going from kid to kid to kid to kid. Like that is, it's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward if they do need help, and they usually don't. Then probably the most one-on-one time I have right now is with my kindergartner, and she is just learning how to read, and so that's very one-on-one, of course. But there's not a lot of one-on-one time required right now, and if there is, then I make sure to accommodate that. Do you usually have breakfast ready for your children when they wake up in the morning, or do you start when they wake up? It all depends. I really like to get a workout in, quick shower, and then make breakfast. If I slept in, I work out, they wake up, I make breakfast with them. If I wake up as early as I like to wake up, which doesn't happen as much, doesn't happen often at all right now, then I will make breakfast before they're up, but it doesn't usually happen. How did you and your husband get together? We met at church. Have you ever been nervous for any of your births? I'm due with baby number 4 in a month. Congratulations. I don't think I've really been nervous about any of my births. My first, I know that near the beginning I was nervous, and I got a book from the library. There are a few of them out there, and I don't remember the title of the one I read, but it was just a book full of natural birth stories. And I read them a couple times over. I read the whole book a couple times over, and that changed my life. I went away from that book feeling like, of course I can give birth. I was made to do this. My body can do this. I know I can do it. And I felt very, very confident, which I think really helped. And I really think that was a big part of why my birth went so smoothly. Then I reread it again a couple more times during my following pregnancies. But I would say I kind of know what you mean about being more nervous for your 4th than for your first, because I think going into it, I was 22 when I had my first, I was 30 when I had my 5th, and I think just over the years, I don't know, I'd heard more negative stories, I knew more of what could happen, and so there was a little bit of nerves there. But again, I read through that book just to kind of give me that encouragement and give me that positivity, knowing I can do this, I can give birth to this baby. But I think more than being nervous about birth, when I was expecting, and especially near the end, I was a little bit nervous about how my baby would be. I had very different, like very calm, easy babies. Well, I had like one very calm, easy baby. And then I had some babies that were a lot more work. And so I think more than anything, I was nervous about how are we gonna adjust? How is this baby's temperament gonna be? Am I gonna ever be able to sleep for the next year? I think I was more nervous about that than about the actual birth. Thank you for watching this video today. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know how you guys are doing. How are you doing through this quarantine time? I hope you're all healthy and you're all staying well, and I will see you soon. Bye.